Live. All right, what's going on, y'all? It's Greg. Greg said it live. YouTube edition. This time, when I say YouTube edition, I mean YouTube. No stream, y'all on that. I'm gonna try this out. Tried it out last week. So that means, for what I know, YouTube really should step the game up. But like all the other platforms, you usually able to share it on the screen. I don't think you're able to do that here. But y'all see the chat right there in the chat. Y'all go ahead and liven that thing up. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. I don't care if you're watching a review. You probably is watching a review. I mean, most of the people is watching the replay. So go ahead and hit like right now while you're at it. I'm telling you right now, right? Hit the like, share, subscribe. Y'all, we're gonna be talking about this Colorado rebuild here as we know it. Greg said it's the only way Greg said it can do, not repeating or trying to duplicate somebody else. That's what they do. But you know how we do it. What's going on? I see what's it? Shine 33777. What does that mean? Now, if they can just focus on the X's and O's, developing team button, it should be a good shape. That's a very good point. And I don't know, since you here and I'm here and we here, let's start off with that. Now, for me, I for one, how I look at it. And if y'all haven't looked at my videos, it'd be probably good to check it out after this, as far as what's been leading up to this point. Now, I'm not dropping like player profiles. I'm not doing interviews. People got that on lock, right? And I'm really not diving too deep into like, I'm not even gonna say, I'm not gonna even name call. And let me tell you why. One is these new people. I never know all their names at this point. Two, that's all it is right now is a name. And typically, what we do in Colorado is the overtime, especially when you get into reach people who do a good job. Well, all do a good job. I mean, even these other channels do a good job of introducing you to the players and showing behind the scene. That ain't what we do here. We kind of like do real talk after things go down, after games, stuff like that. Ain't necessarily putting no film, the footage and stuff like that. I'm not saying that one in the future, but that's not what we are. This is what I'm saying. Now I've done videos, people had a fit saying, hey, you know, Coach Prime been doing this. Let's start with that. Coach Prime ain't been doing this. He wanted to do this. Let's go all the way back to Jackson State, because I've been wanting to talk about this. See, this is what we do. When he was at Jackson State, y'all remember, he went in there and said, hey, it's talent here. And even NFL is slipping. I mean, his first year, some of his talent didn't go in. Like I think Houston winning that year. And it's like the next year, they tried to send a couple guys. I think Bolden went. But pretty much these guys just going free agent. But Houston went in there and ball, made them look good. It was a couple people. Miller, linebacker, I don't think he really got going, but he was decent. But he's like his size or whatever. I think he was decent for that level. He really didn't do it at this level. See, some positions you really need to be able to show you can do it at the next level. I think some things do translate very well. I think skill positions translate very well. He said that it's really not an extreme difference between the skill at the top level we call FBS and Power 4 and all that. You start breaking them down. You can continue to break down because they put some conferences over others. But then I think it's a difference, with FCS, right? And even all the way down to Division 2, because FBS is Division 1 for people who don't know. You said HBCU, that means nothing. It's HBCUs at Division 2 and it's HBCUs at Division 1, if you didn't know. Jackson State was a Division 1 FCS program. They're not Division 2, but there are some Division 2 programs that are good, and a lot of them eventually have became. I remember some of them, South Alabama, all those schools. I think they used to be Division 2. Some of those schools moved up. North Alabama, a lot of those schools end up moving up to Division 1, and we also seen a lot of those Division 1 double A, what we call double A, now we call FCS. A lot of them have moved up to FBS. Some of them fairly rapid. I've talked about some. I went to a school that didn't even have a football program, and they went from doing an NAIA to an FBS program in a little of a decade. It's schools who ain't done that in decades. So it depends on the money and the goal and what the school's able to do, really, to get those levels. And sometimes the HBCUs don't have the money to move up because, like I was saying, jump back to. Coach Prime was really talking about making Jackson State a superpower, a HBCU of its kind, one of its kind that can move up to a FBS level. So he really was trying to matriculate them to, okay, let's just stop playing the sweat ball and let's go up to higher FCS and compete in the playoffs and stuff like that. And complete, don't just kind of corner yourself off over here with the HBCU championship that he did to make people happy. When you talk about the Celebration Bowl, and sometimes you would have to give up the Celebration Bowl to go to playoffs. And one time he went to Celebration Bowl, the number 2 team, which I think was FAMU, went to the playoff. And they picked on, like, you scared to come out here and play with the big boys, the North Dakota State. Y'all ain't ready. So that really was the next level. That's why it was a big deal when they beat Campbell that year. Because they're like, all y'all can do is beat up on these HBCUs, because HBCUs, a lot of urban high schools, they typically know how to beat up on each other. But when they go play the non-black kids, even though you're supposed to be more talented, they consider more disciplined, more skilled, more resources. You're going to lose to them in the playoff or outside of your regional games if you're like in the city. That's just now. So HBCU the same way. A lot of people like, oh, y'all HBCUs can't beat nobody. I can't beat no non-black schools. So Coach Prime like, we can compete. And they would lose to North Texas and stuff like that. So when they beat Campbell that year, they was like, oh, we beat a non-black team, and of course they went on to lose the Celebration Bowl, and that was a whole lot of shenanigans behind that. I went to both Celebration Bowls in Atlanta, and it's like, okay, so what you were seeing was he wanted to step outside the limitations that HBCUs had, and he said we can leverage this resources here in the history here. You see, I'm able to recruit the talent here, and we can go ahead and move on up. And I encourage the other HBCUs to come with us. We make our own HBCU conference, but it's gonna be a higher level, so we can play high level, recruit a higher level. And he put his money where his mouth was. I mean, he went and upgraded that facility with his own resources out of his money. He went and got sponsors. I mean, he did things that hasn't been done. He got the ragged football field taken care of. He upgraded their facilities. Their weight room facilities to be outside like a shed. It was decent, but for the HBCU, but he upgraded everything, the locker rooms, everything. You can see that all on Well Off. This ain't, he say, she say type thing. So that's what was going on with that. And he was really trying to like call. That's when he really fell out with NFL. Y'all want to be, people think that he fell out with NFL Chicago with Colorado. I told people he fell out with NFL when he started calling NFL out about not recruiting HBCU boys and how they need to do better and do better. And they're like, who is you? And then he went to Colorado, but he kind of like rubbed them the wrong way with that, and then he rubbed the big boys the wrong way because he was taking their boys to HBCU, which they normally wouldn't go to. So it's almost like you taking 4 stars out of high school. Not that's before the portal now. All right, this is before the portal. He taking guys out of like Travis Hunter. That's the number 1 guy. That's unheard of him go to HBCU. Coleman, that was another top guy. And then a lot of them guys who was like what we're seeing now was transferring to HBCU, which is the norm. Let's put a pin in it. This is the norm of the Coach Prime process, where if you didn't play before the portal, if you didn't play at a Division I program, FBS, you had to go down to play. This is not a new phenomenon. You didn't go up to play. This is a new phenomenon. You went down. So if you sat on the bench at Alabama, you sat on the bench at LSU, you sat on the bench at whatever, Arkansas, you didn't go across. One, because it wasn't allowed. So that's why it became a thing. See, when I came up, if you're behind, went to another school at your level or up, you had to sit out a year. That's how the portal, it wasn't called a portal, it was just transfer. You had to sit out a year. I know we got something better. I'm giving y'all some real talk. I'm better than 8 likes and 35 votes. Yeah, you know how we do get the likes. So I don't, people say that, but it's like, I'm giving y'all the real talk. Ain't nobody telling you like this, breaking it down like this. Nobody. Because this is what I do right here. Get them likes up. Social currency. It's right there. Just hit the button. You hear? I see the numbers right there. The people here versus the likes. Just hit it. Don't cost you nothing. It should just run up. Ooh, everybody hit it. Right? For the little algorithm, all that good stuff. Don't tickle my fancy. But go ahead and hit it. I know I'm telling the truth because I was there. So Coach Prime started getting a lot of guys who, okay, if I'm a transfer, you're not going to Jackson State. Some of them did now. Some of them did. Like it's people who, but he got a higher level at a higher number to come to Jackson State. So people will say, well, Coach Prime, it really wasn't a good coach. He just had more talent. Okay, I get with you on that. He definitely had more talent. He basically saturated that team in the SWAT where they was a above normal SWAT team, right? And that's why everybody wanted him to lose because they knew he had better players. And even on their worst game, they beat you. And so they were like, you ain't really doing that. That's why they didn't want him to win the Celebration Bowl. That's why the whole MEAC came out against him and the SWAT turned their back on him, especially when he said he wanted to go to Colorado. That's why they gave him a hard time not winning the whole Celebration Bowl. In the first year, they was new to it. It was his first year. They kind of went down. They wasn't focused. Second year, he was already leaving and that emotions and all that. A lot of his players had already hit the portal, didn't play in that game. And then, also you look at the fact that he was checked out, but he was checked in. He was trying to do what your boy didn't do for Ole Miss when LSU Lane. So what happened was the team was split. It was emotional. Some of them didn't want to play. The fans was mad at him, even though they was jealous of him and mad at him because of all the other stuff I just talked about. He didn't want to play in certain little like bowl games or classics, what they call HBCU classics. He's like, oh, y'all, this ain't nothing. Y'all just doing this stuff for history's sake. Y'all ain't making no money. Y'all need to stop going. Let these people beat the mess out of you in these I call them preseason games. These cupcake games beginning of the year, they give y'all a check. You're gonna spend more than half the money going back and forth and just get your kids beat up and feeling hurt. And it's like he just trying to put them on the game. And they were like, who is you? You are new to coaching. You ain't go to HBCU. Who is SWAC? You ain't SWAC. And y'all SWAC. I ain't SWAC. Who is SWAC? The day that you're not one of us. That's what he went through, right? But at the end of the day, he was trying to put them on because he wanted to elevate them. He had they just didn't agree with the method. And I believe it would have worked. Because he definitely had the resources. He definitely had the people behind him. He had it there. He had it at Colorado. He always had the resources. But it was going to be limited. Certain players was not going to want to go to no HBCU. Certain players was not wanting to go there. Right? No matter how they liked them. There's certain players he was able to recruit when he went to Colorado that he couldn't recruit at Jackson. Honestly, just how the mindset of people. It's certain players that he will be able to recruit if he won at Colorado, just off of, it's too far away, it's that type of environment, it's white, it's this, it's that. So it's always people got their preferences, but he was more limited at Jackson State because everybody wanted to buy into going to the lower level of play, lower level of exposure, a lower level of facilities if they have to, especially now with the portal. And again, that was like NIL was kicking in, but the portal went to a whole nother gear after that, right? So, because I remember when my boy Tyler Brown tried to transfer from Jackson State, and they were like, "Oh, you already transferred too many times," and made him miss out. I believe that threw him off. I mean, I don't even know what he found eligibility now, but he was already had mental challenges and stuff like that. And so that was the end of that portal when they fought that. And after that, they're like, forget it. Let everybody go where they want. And boy, look where we at. That's where we are now. So when people tell me Coach Prime always had the strategy, that's a lie. He was forced to have that strategy because he himself was coming from the HBCU. He himself was in a situation where he knew the talent was there because he was there, and he would bring some of the guys. He brought coaches from the HBCU or FCS level. He knew it was there because he was one of them, and he wasn't scared to do it. Yet, when he went to the Power 5, they told him, his recruiting staff, his Power 5 recruiting staff, we got Corey Phillips, who come from other Power 5 programs. He went and got coaches that was from Power 5 programs, even though it didn't work. He went and got, not necessarily Sean, what's his name, Lewis, but when you look at a coach, looking at his face, from Alabama and all that, and now he's at Jacksonville. He went to Auburn. I mean, you was really trying to put your staff up on names. Like, oh, this guy coached at this school, blah, 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 because that's what it's about. It's about prestige. It's about that. I'm part of a blue blood program. So he tried to build his coaching staff like that. And when he couldn't, he said, well, I hit you with the NFL. I can't go pull a lot of coaches because I don't have the coaches but I'm gonna say I'm NFL. So he started selling this NFL thing, and people like, will it translate to college? Well, like, well, it should. I mean, it's the same skill, but it's a different relational, different expectation, different standards. So that's what they've been going through. Like, how do you coach a kid that's 18 versus how you would coach a guy that's 25, 30 years old, who's the best of the best already, who's already proven and that. And it's a difference, right? It is a difference from how the play calling, the practice, everything is different from, and that I think that's what they've been going through at Colorado is finding that medium. Now he's kind of leaned back towards more college coaches, as you see, but he's also leaning back towards his original strategy after he's seen what Indiana's able to accomplish. Because when he came over here, they had to sell names. They went and got a bunch of boys, broke leg, broke knee, but he was at Florida State. But he had a whole broke leg the year before. He's at, you remember he went and got all them boys his first year he came in, but that was like he also was late in the first portal, and they still had the second portal. And he brought all those guys because a lot of the guys left, he ran off. And he brought all those guys with big names. He played at Florida State, but he was on a super duper practice squad. He came from this school, but he was there. And some of it hit, most of it didn't. Because he had to get guys with names to justify them coming to Colorado. He wasn't comfortable enough to go over in Colorado as an FCS coach trying to prove he good enough. Shador trying to prove he good enough. Travis trying to prove he good enough. And he didn't come over here with a bunch of FCS recruits other than what he brought. Everybody else was FBS guys. Tell me I'm lying. See, people, when they talk in the chat. But I'm here right here. I'm telling you, so you can't play with my words. Like, this is what happened. Coach Prime never built. He built what he had to have. He built a whole lot of delinquents, second tier guys that they wasn't playing where he came from. They weren't going to come play for him at that time, and they was playing. Now, some of them was like a lot of fifth year guys. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go play with Coach Prime. But they were just here because of 1 year, and they're going to get off on the hype and the opportunity. But he wasn't getting a lot of guys out of high school unless he had a relationship with them. He wasn't getting a lot of guys that was top tier guys. And the portal was still kind of new. So it wasn't like you can go get a whole bunch of guys and there was seniors, grad. Like Shiloh was a grad. And I think some people had COVID years during that time still. So you had people who were like, I say delinquent, but I'm not really delinquent, but like some of them probably was delinquent. I don't know. But I'm saying like, you know, like the second tier guys, the degenerates. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, yeah, these guys, they leave their school, they was second and third string. They probably was some in high school, but they ain't playing. And they like, come over here and play. So they had no stats really. They maybe just play. That's what all of them were. He wasn't really going after the FCS guys like that. He just was filling in a roster. But it was like he really wanted those big name guys. The guy, he played at Arkansas, he played at this. And then it's like the FCS guys, they're like, oh yeah, they from FCS, they played. But it really wasn't like, Indiana kind of stepped it up to me because the Indiana coach came from, I don't know, James Madison is not an FCS. That's another thing people got to think about. James Madison is a lower level FBS program. So that's even higher up than Coach Prime came from. So that's another thing. People underestimated his talent because they didn't come from a Power 5. They came from a group of 4, a group of 5, group of whatever. And people underestimated, and he showed them. Shoot, they not only they Division 1, they FBS, but we always like, oh, the SCS and the Big 10 and everybody else suck. And Big 12 used to be something to Colorado them got in there. And I guess Texas, Oklahoma level. They suck. Pac-12 suck. But they all consider FBS programs and Power 5, and then Power 4, whatever you want to call it. But them group of schools, they almost treat like the FCS, but people maybe they don't know no better. These are FBS schools. And the Sun Belt is now, I think it used to be FCS, I think. Because I remember Kennesaw used to be part of this Conference USA. These are all considered Power 5, not Power 5. They consider FBS programs. It's confusing because I grew up, everybody was Division 1A, Division AA, and that was confusing enough. Now you got FBS, and then you got rid of those tiers, same tiers in FBS, but then FCS is treated like it's Division 2, but FCS is that Division 1. So you got 3 tiers of Division I when it used to be only 2. And they're trying to make more tiers. They're trying to make more tiers. And it's like because these conferences are falling apart or not, I don't know what they're doing. You know, you got somebody say it's Big 12 and it's 30 teams in there. You want Big 30. It's like these conferences not even true to what they are because they got more teams than the number now. And because they just accept them teams and telling other teams to come join, they just making these really want to make these super conferences where they just gonna just quick put a number behind it, and they all can't play each other, and it's like they killing it. They really killing it. They killing it with the portal. They killing it with whatever going on. Maybe it's the TV rights. I don't know. You know, I don't know, but I think that when he came over from James Madison, people underestimated James Madison up to that point, even when he was there, and after he's been there the last couple of years, have been playoff bound. They was arguing they should have made it last year. This year they made it, right? Now, Coach Brown got a couple of them James Madison boys. James Madison boys was good enough to go to Indiana because all of them didn't go to Indiana, but some of them did, and the coach did, and not all the coaches did. Some of them did, and somehow James Madison didn't lose a step. So people start saying, we can't be all Big 10 arrogant and Big 12 arrogant and SEC and ACC arrogant. Indiana whooping everybody, but and you ain't got no excuses because he didn't go to Alabama. He went from a lower level FBS program to a low, almost low. Indiana about doing this. It's just they in the Big 10, but they don't have the respect for the typical Big 10 football program. Now basketball, they all it's like how you let Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt don't came around over the last. Vanderbilt used to be the joke of the SEC for the longest. ACC had like the Wake Forest and all them. Every now and then they come smack somebody in the mouth, and then they've been more consistent. And so you look at certain schools, they in that tier, and they're like, oh, they ain't even a football school, but they just there. Duke, same way. Them football programs have come along in the last several years. You know, and so you got to think about it. Football is changing because I don't know, man. It's getting away from these the SEC dominant programs because look how Indiana mud dog Alabama. Look what they did. Look what they did to Oregon. They can put some spec on their name. Put some spec on their name. Indiana ain't never in a football program. You know, they basketball. You know, and yeah, I think they're gonna mud dog Miami too, because Miami is not as disciplined as some of the teams they already on mud dog. Miami is talented, but they make mistakes. They don't always capitalize on your mistakes. Like they drop interceptions, they drop ball. Indiana don't do that. That's why they beat the mess out of you. Because when you turn it over, boom, they gonna score, and you boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, you up 21-0, and then Miami prone to make mistakes, but other teams typically don't capitalize. Indiana typically capitalize, and the problem with Indiana, they don't know how to take their foot off the gas, and they don't put their foot on the brakes. So Indiana will run up the score on you. You might as well pack the band, might as well pack up, concession stand, because they don't make enough mistakes for you to come back. They're not going to turn around and fumble the ball to you and let you back in the game. They're not going to throw an interception and let you back in the game. They don't miss tackles. Then you're going to earn it. Like, you're going to beat Indiana, you're going to earn it. You have to play a flawless game. I remember when they played Ohio State, they were going back and forth in that little conference championship. And Ohio State, until they just spazzed out. Because a lot of teams can't play a full perfect game. You know, a lot of teams can't play a complete game. That's been Colorado's problem. They can play a good first quarter, a good first couple series, a good half, but they don't know how to play a full game. And that you have no chance of being a team like Indiana that way. And that's most teams. They don't know how to play a full game. I don't know what they're doing in Indiana, honestly. I look at Colorado's schedule, and you got 4 hours a day to practice, and that's everything. Practice, film, meetings, and all, whatever. So they choose how they cut it. I don't know what them boys doing. But my biggest thing with Colorado was what y'all practice schedule set up. Not only y'all playing 3/4 of your game at night, which is a whole nother conversation, and they gonna keep justifying it, and Colorado keeps struggling, and because they don't practice at night, but also they don't practice more than an hour. Coach Prime told you we got an hour and 10 minutes. Your game ain't an hour and 10 minutes, so that makes sense why they can play a good hour. Pay attention to that. Colorado can play a good hour. They can play a good hour, and then they just fall apart, like they fall asleep. Them night games, they hold off a little better, but you don't. I remember when I played, we practiced like 3.5 hours every day, especially in college. Because our practice started earlier in college than high school. High school, we probably would have practiced 3 hours too, but it got dark and all that stuff. You had to go. Our practice started at 3 o'clock in college. So it was like right there. It wasn't quite when our game started, but it wasn't like we didn't play no early morning games. All our games was like 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4 in the night. So it was right in the middle. So our practice would end right at night, especially, in fall, and it'd be dark. So our bodies was right there. It was no major adjustment. But when you practice every day at 10 o'clock in the morning and all your games at 10 o'clock at night, it's like, come on, man, y'all don't play with me now. Y'all don't know the body enough. I don't been trained on this. I know the mind and the body play tricks on your behind. If you don't train, your body's a machine. That's why you think you eat that way? Why you think they practice? Why you think they run stairs? You got to train the body for every aspect. It is a mental aspect. You got to train your body for that. And at the end of the day, only a bozo the clown can tell me ain't no difference. You straight clown. I'm just going to tell you that to your face. If you playing a bunch of 10, 15 games, and it's like all your games at 10, I mean, you don't play out of your 12 games, at least 5 to 6 of your games is at 10 o'clock. And like I say, it's gonna impact you the most when this the total opposite of your practice schedule. Food be gone. It's gonna hit you when it's the opposite of your practice schedule. It wouldn't hit you the same way if you wasn't practicing the same way. You see what I'm saying? So all of that is part of it. Period. I ain't telling what I'm asking what you think. I'm telling what I know. And it's been shown. So only a fool will still be arguing that. It's 4 seasons later, and fools still arguing about that. Like, that's what it is. It is what it is. Why you think it should, would, or could, that's your opinion. But the reality is, it is an impact. And you can see it. To the point the coach even started saying it. But I said it way before he said it. So it's like, and it's a reason. Training and development, it's a science. It's not a dumb opinion. It's a science. That's why you got to train your body a certain way to be able to perform. If you don't train yourself a certain amount of hours and you play in hours, then don't be surprised when your body shut down at a fraction of the time, because they only know how to go for an hour. Somebody said, this how crazy this sound. Oh, y'all must be silly. They play PlayStation that late. So you telling me playing PlayStation is the same as run up and down the field, somebody hitting you upside your head? Since when does PlayStation require your body to move? Laying and watching movies all night, that the same as playing on the football field at high intensity for 3 hours at full speed, exerting your body? Is laying in the bed watching Netflix all night the same as playing a football game all night? Come on now. Y'all don't play with me, man. Y'all, come on now. We grown now, I hope. It's not the same thing. Staying up, playing video games, talking to the girl on the phone, watching Netflix. I don't care what you're doing. It's not the same as playing football. That's why you can't do it and they can. Because the person, I'm just saying, I understand. I'm saying somebody else, making this comment like it don't matter. Like, you can stay up all night, like working a job. I can stay up all night watching movies. But if somebody said work a job all night, I might not be able to stand it. The same hours, I might fall asleep. If anything require me to actually focus, I might can't do it. But I can stay up all night, and you would think, oh, I stay up all night, I should be able to work all night. You go do a job at nighttime that requires you to focus and do stuff, it you're gonna get tired. It's gonna wear you out. You might say, I don't need no sleep. I stayed up all night. And then you go to that job and don't go to sleep. You're gonna be, and why you couldn't do it at the job, but you do it at the house? Because the house don't put the same pressure on you, the same standard, the same energy expectation on you as that. And that's why I'm telling you, I know their bodies are not ready for it, because what they're doing at night on a regular day is that playing video games, talking to girls, hanging out. And that's like the intensity is here, right? So your body's used to at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, you chilling, you right here with it. And then it's supposed to go here. Your body gonna be like overload, overload, overload. Your body is not used to, see, your body produces a certain amount of melatonin and all that stuff. Your body is programmed to produce what it needs to survive at that, what you're doing. And then you put that level of stress on the body at that time, and it ain't got it because it ain't been doing it. So they start saying, oh, we're gonna start practicing that night. We're gonna start doing it and every now and then. But that ain't really it, yo. You just don't do it because you already know. And I said this last, you already know what you might as well flip your schedule, homie. I know you think it's like convenience, or maybe it's not convenient because you got, you want to be in the bed, or you want to be got something to do, get practice out the way and have the rest of your day. That's selfish, because these people don't peep your card, man. They don't peep your card. They showed you. They gonna run it up every year, no shame on it. Greg said it, other people started to say it, and they don't care. They gonna hit you with about 6 late night games, the latest games possible. Not night game food, that latest night possible. The people gonna be on the East Coast watching your game at 10:30, starting at 10:30, not ending. What are you talking about? So that means they out there, they finna play a game starting at 8 o'clock. Starting at 8 o'clock. Playing football, not staying up, not old man. Staying playing football. Before you go out there and play football at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, go play it and see is that the same level of intensity you can give at 8 o'clock at night. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people go, to the gym. Like, if you work out, anybody tell you now, some people prefer to work out early in the morning. That's tough, because you might be still asleep, but also your testosterone may be peaking. It's a lot of other things, especially if you go to bed late at night. It's some signs that you may not be your strongest, but your cardio and stuff, it may be just a good boost for your morning, get your day started. But your strongest, as far as you want to lift heavy weight, you probably stronger like later in the day. Like, okay, I work out at 5 in the morning. I'm probably not my strongest at 5. I'm probably my strongest at 10, right? See, they practicing at 10, right? They ain't practicing at no early in the morning. They might lift weights or something, but you stronger there. But as the day go on and you're doing stuff and your body starts like a phone, a computer that ain't been charged, as that day go on, you get weaker. You get weaker. You get weaker. You get weaker. And at that point, boom, you weak. I mean, you by 8 o'clock, you not your strength has been used throughout the day, walking around, thinking, talking, whatever. That's what happened. So that's the case. But I think they're gonna continue to play a lot of games. I think because they're gonna use that excuse, they're on that side of the country. So they're gonna use the teams on that side of the country to fill the slots, even though I don't see Oregon playing a lot of like night games. But they're gonna say, oh, boy, you're not in the Pac-12 no more, so that ain't an excuse, because using the Pac-12, most of your games over there because you playing Cal, Stanford, Oregon, Washington. That was the excuse. Now you a Big 12, most of your games are not over there. Like, how many California teams are they playing? They're not even playing teams over there. They're not playing no USC no more. They're not playing USC, Stanford, and Cal. They're not playing Washington State and Washington and Oregon. So what's the excuse? right? It ain't no excuse. And even if you are, why do you always got to get the late slide? Because even when they was over there, they got way more like super late times than everybody else. Yeah, I mean you plan they playing them 10:30 at night games because they're using the excuse as if because they're on a and they mountain time, they not even Pacific. And it's like, cool. I can play a couple games a year, maybe depending on who I'm playing. Maybe I'm playing somebody in California. It would justify me to play that game late. That would be their 7 o'clock game or what would that be? 8 o'clock game for them, 7:30. But that ain't the case. So it's more strategic than y'all want to know. He don't figure it. I've been configured it. It's so it's like they got all of that going on, right? And I think that on one end, I think Coach Prime has figured it out, right? I think he's figured out that he wants to go with the team that's got experience, is proven, and all that good stuff. They got a team of guys who some of you know the name, some of you don't. But then I think on the back end, I think he's filling in. It's starting to look kind of like the old thing, but these not his main guy. It's like, oh, we got this guy who played at Ohio State, but he ain't played. We got this guy who played at another Power 5, but he ain't played. You start to see on the back end of this portal, it looked like that. But I think they don't got their main guys. I think he kind of filling in. And some of them guys gonna hit, but it's just good to know they not building a whole team around a bunch of guys of potential. Meaning, he used to be a 4-5 star, but he don't went over there to that team and he ain't played for 2 years. But he gonna come over here and play. And I think that's what Colorado went wrong because those guys, one reason or another, maybe they was injured and they ain't never gonna be the same. Like we seen with McCaskill, like we seen with my boy down from Florida State, with the locks. These guys were talented, but they never recovered. Then you got the guys who I think historically, if you really want to look at like Byard came in, he had results, but he came from a small. I even think we look at Wester, you look at Jimmy Horn, those guys had experience, but they, they proved themselves on both levels. They wasn't guys who was trying to prove themselves at this level, but they knew it at the other level. So historically, when you look at Coach Prime's best guys, I think people start to see it's been those FCS or lower FBS guys who really contributed. Now, the guys who got the potential, it ain't quite worked out. So I think he's gonna have a mixture because of just the number. Like I think right now you got like at least 40, maybe mid 40 scholarships because he had so many to replace. He had doing the 60 replace. He had that many seniors that he's got now. He had about that many seniors that was leaving. Then he turned around and lost, I don't know, 15 to 20 guys. Just the guys that was young. And we seen them go boop, boop, all the way up to recent with Jordan Seaton. And he's like, man, I like this guy. This guy, I thought he like Coach Brown. He's like, well, don't they leave him? Because you know what I see? And this is going to be the future of it. These guys are going to be leaving programs. There's going to be guys coming this year going to leave next year. Because not only because they can, but because it's been set up that way. They are not going to be able to play. Like all these receivers he brought in with the new system, like if JoJo don't click this year, like he be the guy that he want to be, he leaving. If it's not built for him to be the guy, like the old system, even though nobody was the guy because he can block, they can do this, can then do that, whatever. But he had a chance to be the guy, like Omarion had his chance to be the guy. Omarion left because he said, this system not going to let me be the guy, and I got to do some stuff I probably don't want to do to be the guy. JoJo is probably same way. You just brought in more from Texas. So they abundant. They always are abundant receivers. You do need them because at one point we watched like 4 receivers go down in the game 2 years ago. That's when Amarion went down. Travis Hunter went down. Everybody went down. So I don't know. All I know is Mathis is left. I know it was Hakeem Williams, and I know JoJo. Them the ones I know as far as names is still here. Then you just brought in at least 6 guys who gonna produce. You brought in one from Sacramento State who can fly, right? Little guy can fly. I mean, fly, probably fly more than anybody they got on the team, right? Then you brought in old boy Cam out of Miami. He can fly, and he bought like, if I was to compare to anybody that he could be like, it'd be like a Wester. He can fly. He know his routes. He probably faster than Wester, and he probably equivalent to a Wester, probably even a little better. Then you brought in a guy who's the top in the FCS last year, FBS at San Jose State, and you brought him in, right? You just brought him in, and he like possession guy, but he can fly. So you don't brought in some guys that's gonna demand playing time right there. Then, you know, I don't know how many guys gonna be on the field at once. I don't know what the rotation gonna be like. I know you're gonna need people for depth because of injuries and stuff like that, and to keep them fresh. So I think a lot of these guys, I think at least 5 of these guys gonna play. Yes, Scudero. I know you got and yeah. So that's 4 guys, right? And then you still got JoJo. So who gonna be the guy? I do think at least 5 to 6 of these guys gonna have to rotate. Just how this offense run, keep them speed. You're gonna need 5 to 6 of these guys at all times. That's not including injuries. So I think they're good at receiver. But if some guy that expect, I want more ball, because remember they got to share some of this with these running backs, because the running backs gonna get their yards this year. So it ain't gonna be just pure throwing. They can say this is not the fit for me, and they're gonna leave because this system is designed for them to do that. Running backs, you just brought in the guy from Sac State. You just brought in a guy from Alabama who's a big monster looking dude. You needed that. You needed a bigger size guy, but you also already got Welch, and you also already got Trackhawk. To me, people think that's too many running backs. But we watched Price and Trackhawk go out last year. The lead just Hayden and Welch in the backfield, to the point Cam Michael had to go back there, Draylon had to go back there. So yeah, you need at least 4 running backs on your. Now I know they brought in a little freshman guy too, but you need at least 4 running backs, as we see, active and ready to play at all times. Running backs, ankles, and both of them was in the boot. Had the boot on the same foot last year. We thought we had some depth. So you need a room of running backs at the very least 5 to 6 deep, just because how injuries and stuff go. People keep not factoring injuries. We see how Colorado been played with injuries. They run around with muffs on their hand and all that, and have to play with it, because that depth is going to be a major thing. Now, yeah, you got some 2 ways. When people mention Boo Mitchell, he can come in and do some stuff, and he gonna have room to do some stuff because they have so much depth. The secondary, he has some room. It's not like he just got to be out there. You got everything in the tight end. I don't know. They recruited this month. They probably should have recruited. Probably need to recruit another tight end or 2. I know they brought one back, and I know they like to use their tight ends. And I know we lost one, or was going to lose one. I know we lost one, or is that the one that came back? But the tight ends, we say the whole room is back, but like quality wise, you're going to need at least 2 to 3 tight ends at all times. Okay, 6, 7 guys that tight end. Yeah, tight end gonna matter. You ain't gonna necessarily need them to be like dynamic receivers, but doggone, they don't need to have brick hands, because they're gonna be open. Because people gonna be so keyed in on all that speed. Them tight ends gonna be wide open, because they spend too much time looking at them tight ends. It's gonna be a whole nother problem, because them linebackers gonna be watching them doggone running backs like a hawk, and them fast receivers moving around. Tight end gonna slide right behind them, and you need some talent at the tight end. You need some athletic ability, but they got to be able to block too. So Yeah, tight end's gonna get a lot of play. I just gonna need that guy to step up who can play, who can catch and who can get some run after the catch. You ain't gotta be superstar, but doggone it. We ain't seen it since Michael Harrison, really. You know, somebody asked me, okay, so on the defensive side, somebody asked me, would that 6'3", 375-pound guy play? He should, because that's another thing we don't see every year with Coach Prime. The depth at the defensive line for the last couple years have bit him in the butt in that last quarter of the season. All them guys who was doing this and that at the beginning of the year, they end up hurt, especially them guys in that 1 and 3. I'm talking about, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. You need fresh legs. You talk about playing 12 games plus. You need guys in there who keep the other guys fresh and get in there and you don't lose production. Like Block Bully took a lot of wear and tear. He had some time off, but for the most part, he was on the field. The guys last year just crumbled up. They didn't take the amount of reps that Block Bully did. It took 2-3 guys to produce what Block Bully did without the results of a Block Bully. So yeah, this guy can get in here and clog it up. And I think we got at least 1 or 2 other guys who can clog it up too. But I just thought I wouldn't put that level of expectation on one guy like we did on Block Bully. Block Bully held it down. He taking on 300-pound linemen, 2-3 of them at a time for a whole game. And they hoping to wear him down, but he wearing them down. We thought when we brought in somebody like Barnes, who was bigger than Block Bully, that he would help. But he's standing up like a tree, getting pushed back. Then we brought in, had Barnes come back, lost a little weight. People decided last year, and he brought in Otis. And Otis, he quickly didn't pan out. So you got some guys in there, and he kept saying, we need some more big guys. That's what you got. We need some more big guys in the middle. We need bigger guys in the middle. You got a few of them. And as long as they, somebody say he drop weight, he gonna drop weight if he train. Because he gonna have to be able to run. Football, one thing football do, it make you lose weight. He can lose the weight. And at the end of the day, as long as he's able to move and if he get muscle, that's cool. Because you need those guys to clog and know how to take on double teams and not get doggone just swipe all the way out in a semi truck and run right through the middle. And now the linebacker got to take on a blocker and make the tackle. So that's the thing that you don't want. You don't want guys to get moved out of the way. I think they are better. I know they're better than last year. And I think they're better than the year before because Block Bully, like I said, he really was like 2-3 guys in one. His endurance, his production, he really spoiled Colorado. He wasn't injury prone. He had a little issue towards the end, and I think he came back, but that's a lot of wear and tear. But we really didn't have nobody behind him. So if you got a few guys that can do what he did, then you already better off. So realistically, I'm already saying, I said before, and I said again to everybody here, I'm going to say it with my chest. I can say it with confidence. I couldn't say it last year because I'm like, we talked about they need to get chemistry, and I still do think that. And it's going to be an every year thing at this point. I think that they need chemistry. They need this. They need the bond and all of that. But realistically, I'm going to say it like this. Every position group is better than it was last year. And I would say overall, Coach Prime kept saying this last year was a better team. No, this is a better team. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Not off emotional, not off of hype. They can go and get probably another 20 guys easy because they still got room. But just off of what they already have, this is why I can tell you why they're better. The linebacker group by far is better than any linebacker group he's ever had. I've been watching like a freaking hawk. The first year was a bunch of hybrids. He just scraped together a group. They wasn't really that good. What's going on? They really wasn't that. All of that. They was small and so bad that eventually we bought Trevor Woods down. Linebacker group was horrible. Cornerback group was horrible. And yet, they was in every game except a couple. Think about that. Everybody's so good. Colorado's so bad. Yeah, you say Shador kept this, that, and that. He didn't even have a line. The way they look and the way they play and the quality of, they should have got blown away more games than they did that first year, but they didn't. So that tells you how far they are. That's why I was able to make a prediction the second year that they was going to win, because I knew they was going to be better. I knew that they were more experienced and better based off what was coming in. They fell short because of depth. Period. The depth was an issue. I watched, the linebacker, they only had Hill Green and Bentley that second year, and they were like, okay, and one of them get Bentley, it's my big toe hurt, and the block bullet go out, you ain't got nobody come behind them. Even Shane Coates went out, and it's like, oh shucks, towards the back end of that season, that depth hurt them. It hurt them, and so it didn't really hit the defensive backs like that. Travis wasn't really out like that. McKinnon went out like that. But when it was, you had Hood come in and ball out. Shiloh went out. The safety room, was hitting there. But, Silman Craig carried a lot of weight on his shoulders. So that's what really got Colorado that year, y'all. They didn't have strength in every position. And it showed at times. And even all the way down to that BYU last game. When Hill Green didn't play, it was whoop. That's how sensitive that was. Last year, they never found the linebacker core. All the way had to go all the way down to Brown. And it's like all of a sudden he was the guy, and he really didn't want a linebacker like that. So they never found the linebacker group last year. Back to the first year again. They didn't really find the mix of DBs all the way down to the end. They just throwing DBs out there, hoping they can plug a hole. Now, everybody out there with muffs on their hand. The safeties was getting hurt. It's just completely exposed to them at the end. They didn't have no depth. I don't know. So when you look at this year, it almost like it helped them that they recruited better. One, they recruited better. And two, they had so many slots to fill that they shouldn't have no excuse not to have depth. Because they ain't got no junk in there. Everything they put in there, he said they getting what they want. So the DBs by far has more depth, not just in numbers, but in quality than what was there last 2 years. Because we've seen it. They didn't have crap. They were trying to put Kamani out there. Now, these guys, the reason why I don't get caught up on names and form production, because it is different. So everything ain't going to translate for everybody. But with the amount of kids that they brought over in each position, somebody should stick. It shouldn't be all just a fail. It shouldn't be. I'm not. That's why I was like, oh, this person, that person. We'll have to see. But for example, like the linebacker group, even if half of the guys don't turn out good as they were, they still better off. I feel like we settled all the way down to a Hill Green that year, and he carried a lot of weight on his shoulders like Block Bullet did. He ain't the most athletic, but boy, he covered for a lot of the issues because he actually was there to hit, and he hit you. He wasn't arm tackling, as he missed some tackles, but he was hitting, and he was an enforcer. I feel like this linebacker group, you can have 2 to 3 Hill Green quality production guys, meaning they will hit you. They're gonna be where they're supposed to be. They smart, they high IQ football players and linebackers, and that's what you want a linebacker. You don't want no dumb linebacker who, ooh, puppy, and the butterflies. He running all off, and the ball over here, he over there, and he throwing, he doing all that. Like, come on, man, you can't have that in linebacker because he's basically your safety net for your defense. If somebody get pushed out the hole or somewhere, he there to make up for it. That shouldn't be your safety. Your safety should be more concerned about his job as a safety, especially in coverage. So I think at the end of the day, the defensive line can possibly have 1 or 2 or 3 block bully type figures in the middle. You didn't have that this year. You also got a whole slew of tackles, which I don't think they've had. I think they've had a talented edge rushing room before we've seen that. And I think that was only as good as the guys in the middle demanding 2, 3 guys to block them. But I think that This tackle group probably by far is going to be the best tackle group. I don't think they've had like a really good tackle group. I think they had some good edge rushers and potential, but they ended up getting hurt. Like Okinola got hurt, and what was the other one? Was it one Payne? It's just these guys. They had 2-3 guys come in like woo, and then again, you didn't have that many people bring in. But I think it's gonna be like an all-star cast of edge rushers. Now, it would have been great to keep up McPherson and Merritt and like at least one of them. It would have been good to have them in that develop. Yeah, but I think that he ain't no superstar. Somebody may emerge, but them guys got production off the edge and tackles, and I think that's where they're gonna make the difference. At their tackles are gonna be a lot better, as far as getting to the quarterback. Like we wanted to have my boy. I don't know why he just slipped my brain. What's my boy name? Slipping. But my guy, 88. I don't know why he had 88. Didn't he have 88? Manil. Manil's supposed to be that guy for 3 years. First year potential, second year potential, third year. Where did he go? He was supposed to be the guy who developed to a tackle who can really just cause havoc. Then we had Tafiq. I think Tafiq, did he leave or stay? I think Tafiq might have left. We never had the tackle to be the tackle that we needed. We ain't had it. We ain't name him. Yeah, Tafiq gone. Tafiq didn't even fully, so Tafiq was like, okay, a tackle. That's been an issue. Tackles who actually can put pressure on the doggone somebody. We ain't had it. Edge rush is cool. Tackle, that's why that pocket just looks smooth. You got to weak somebody in the middle, then you got a tackle coming off who ain't really getting no pressure. And the edge rusher is wrapping around. The quarterback always got escape lane because the edge rusher, you going too far field, or the quarterback can just sit forever in the pocket because ain't none in the middle. The block bullet gone that ain't causing anything right there. That's just smooth. Then your tackles coming down, tackles ain't getting to the quarterback, and boom. That's why all the quarterbacks like this. And DB's like, come on, nobody get home. And then when your DBs do have a cover sack, quarterback, I always can run. 30, 40 yards. Off the bench. Third string quarterback, freshman quarterback. Because the guys in the middle ain't doing nothing. That ain't going down block, but he had nowhere to go in the middle. Nowhere to go up the middle. You see, nowhere to go up the middle. And then when you ain't got nowhere to go up the middle, then you say, I'm just going to take off these tackles. These tackles ain't doing them getting pushed around. So that ain't helping the edge rushers because, see, a lot of times that penetration in the middle caused these quarterbacks to sit back so the edge rusher can get to them. But when they just wiping the whole middle out, that's been Colorado's issue in a nutshell. It's also been another issue, and I'm in with this. Colorado had an issue with coaching. That ain't got nothing to do with players. He don't got rid of some coaches. But that's where they got to step up at. Play calling and scheme. Clock management. Seems like there's no strategy. The preparation, he kept saying preparation of players, they don't look prepared. They look confused. They out of place. That kind of stuff can't fly. It just can't fly. So Colorado is in a place where the players there now. It's going to be on the coaches this year. The talent is there. Can't blame the guys. Even if half the guys don't stick, you brought in 50, 60 guys. If half of the guys don't stick, half of them do. 25, 30 guys you brought in stick. That's a nice chunk of people because the only guy 11 on the field at a time. You got some guys that can play. You're going to have your coach. As a coach, your scheme's going to have to step up. Your strategy going to have to step up. I don't get strategy. And I haven't seen them implement it, honestly. They stand but watch. I don't said it enough time about changing your practice schedule. They tried to do that, but they didn't commit to it. I told them about, y'all but need to tackle at practice. You wait to get halfway through the season, but you punk out the whole spring, the whole summer. I don't want nobody to get hurt. But then you want them to hit it during the season when everybody body already told. That's the wrong time. The time to get hit and banged up is during the summer. You go get the staff. You can sit out a week. It's the summertime. Stand on the sideline. You don't want them to doggone have to play a game and then go and be hitting at practice during the season. That's the time you need to be playing two-hand touch. Y'all need to be killing each other during the summer. In the spring, it's definitely the spring. Spring, y'all should be wow. In the season 6 months away, man. Please, you shouldn't be worried about no season in the spring. You need to know who can tackle and who can't tackle. You need to know what and practice on tackling, working on tackling. You don't get out there and tackle like a bunch of girls. See, like I said, Indiana ain't out there. Them teams that's playing Miami decent tackling. You ain't seeing a lot of missed tackles at this level when they get to that point. I agree. Livingston should have been fired. I feel like you fired Schumer because his little elementary stuff, he should be fired. Livingston should have been fired because his concepts was more elementary than I would thought. Line everybody up on the line. I'm thinking, oh, he can go positionless defense. Drop back. Who dropped him? You got all these hybrids. That's what I thought was the strength. You got all these guys playing linebacker, real little safeties. You need to disguise it so they can't key them out and drop different people into different coverages and stuff like that from the line of scrimmage and put more pressure on the quarterback in the line to figure stuff out. Y'all sit up there, put everybody on line, rush, nobody get home. Now the whole middle of the field wide open, drag routes galore, slants galore, 30 yards. Nobody there. Y'all ain't getting home. Then when you don't bring everybody, you got linebackers who can't read your scheme. You ran a man-to-man. Y'all still ain't figure out how to switch. Y'all still running to each other. You ain't even on the goal line and y'all running to each other. Y'all don't know how to switch off. Y'all, it's a lot of stuff you seeing that it's a weakness. Oh, you ain't got the personnel. I watched him when he didn't, I watched him when he didn't put Hood in that time when they lost Kansas State. So, yeah, you might have paid him a little too much money too soon to keep somebody that he probably didn't even want to keep. You paid him a year too early. And they might say that same thing with Coach Prime. They paid him a year too early. So they got all that money after that good season. And everybody wanted them. Then they crashed and burned. And a lot of that was on the coaching. Coaching is more than just calling plays. It's putting the right people on the field. We saw them not put the right people on the field, the right combination of people on the field. And it's like, well, we had to figure out, well, if the people online figuring it out quicker than you, that's a problem because you there every day. It should be the opposite. You should figure out quicker than us. Like, we see that guy ain't it. That combination of linebackers, I don't know who came up with that. That I don't know, that system, that guy ain't a good fit for. Like, for example, on the offense side, the plays you run, that wasn't a good fit for Salter. I thought you was going to build it around him. So when you look at the defense and the guys, maybe they better off in a cover 3. Maybe you take them out of man. I don't know. You got to look at the bigger picture. I don't think they've done it. I don't think they had no strategic minds. But one thing I know for sure, that Marion he's a strategic mind. He's going to put Livingston to shame if he don't. Marion is a strategic mind from every aspect of the game. It ain't got nothing to do with Coach Prime. He got to do with how he look at the game, how he size up his opponent, and how he prepare for his opponent. And we were only hoping and expect Livingston to have that same mindset, that he would be strategic and he would size up and customize his stuff as opponent. Like he said, custom packages and stuff like that. Quit being so predictable and so sorry. Now, it ain't your problem, your players. Well, it is, but it ain't. Your position coaches and even Coach Prime as a whole have to decide if they can't tackle, because, whatever scheme you put out there, it ain't going to work if they can't tackle. So that's why I say go back to the fundamentals, learn your position, know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and know the basics tackling, like a line, blocking, catching, defense, tackling. Know your role in tackling. Quit reaching out with your freaking arms and using helmet and shoulder pad. Quit playing two-hand touch and flag football and reaching first instead of running your body through the man. Reaching out like a baby for his baba. What you reaching for? Run through him. Put your helmet and your shoulder pad on his hip and run through him. You grabbing and pulling and you touching it. Yeah, all your fingers is gone. All your fingers got muffs on them. Too much reaching. Too much touching. You ain't put no body to body. They breaking your little finger tackles and breaking your fingers, literally. That shouldn't be the case. Put your body through him and wrap around him. Period. Quit tackling with your arms and use your shoulder pads. That's why they're there. If you're gonna tackle with your hands, what you need shoulder pads for? That's what Colorado, and I think that comes with, honestly, that's on coaching too, because repetition. Like, if I'm running the reps, you can't do it while you're out there. Two, that's something we should be working on. This should be a fundamental part of your day. Not just, that ain't a tackle. Because y'all all do that and get stiffed on to the ground like little girls. And 3-4 y'all him. He gonna y'all all the way down the field. Y'all then quarterbacks y'all all the way down the field. Hit somebody and run through them. Bumping into them is not enough. At the end of the day, I'm not buying the bright light thing. I bought the first year because that was the real bright lights. Because they was winning. And the world was and big noon, a bit too. Everybody was there. College game was all there the same day. And that was bright lights. The Rock and all the celebrities. Everybody's still talking that jump. Last year, the celebrities went all up and down. Now they still talking about what happened in the past. That was bright lights the first year. What we seen last year wasn't no bright lights. It's the same lights that everybody else had. It's Indiana got bright lights. They number 1 in the country, number 2 in the country, and stayed that way. It didn't get to their head. And then the playoff. That's how you handle bright lights. You handle bright lights, and those guys ain't come from no great programs, big programs. But when you keep the main thing, you ain't got to worry about no lights. Because what you gonna do is what you gonna do anyway. So the lights is an excuse for you not knowing what you're doing. What good is the lights doing when you running this way and the man you cover running that way? Busted coverages, broken tackles, missed tackles, the mental lapses, jumping outside, penalties at all the wrong time. They ain't bright lights. That's dumbness. Yeah. Salter, you can say Salter had bright lights, but that's the quarterback. That's the quarterback. You see, the quarterback, all the weight is on the quarterback. But how do you, and that's the first game of the season. You don't have bright lights from the first game of the season to game 8. You put some shades on. It ain't going to be no bright lights the same at game 8 as it is at game 1. You shouldn't be making the same mistakes. You can blame the lights all you want. You can blame the light all you want. But guess what? After a few games, the lights should be normal to you. And everybody you can name that had problem bright lights who bought some, it didn't last that long. Them same players end up making big plays. If you use Wester as an example of bright lights in freaking Nebraska, then what happened to the bright lights in Baylor when he saved the game on the Hail Mary? See, same bright light. I guarantee the lights is brighter at that night game at Baylor in the rain than it was in Nebraska, which was the day game. At least the first part of the game was. You know, it's an adjustment to go from a small school to a big school. You expect that in your first couple games. What an excuse you have at game 12, game 10, game 8, even game 5. Colorado should know their issues by now. Period. They should know what the players can handle, what type of players to get, and they should know the strengths and weaknesses of their coaches. That's the only thing I can say in year 4. They should know exactly what they're up against. It should not be a surprise. It should not be a surprise at all. And it's do or die. The talent is there already. Even at the coaches, like OC, I think he's going to be a difference maker. I think the linebacker coach is going to be a breath of fresh air from what Hart was doing. Hopefully, he ain't teaching the same things. Can help correct that room. I don't know who. I mean, Mathis is still there. I don't know what that. Something got to give somewhere. They got to make changes. They can't be ignorant in this or just foolish and do the same thing they did. But there's been changes made already. Just to what degree? Because one thing for sure, it's gonna be figured out. You're gonna see, oh, we don't change this, but if we didn't change that, and there go the issue. So the issue with you, because you don't change OCs twice already. You don't change DC once. You don't change O line once, really twice, and you don't change those. You don't change D line coaches. You at a point in this junction where you're gonna better start figuring out who's who and what's what in Colorado. That's where you at. Excuses is kind of like starting to. It is what it is. Somebody just asked me. See, some stuff sound like a joke. It better be. Why do I blame Hart when Livingston run the play? What are you talking about? You know what the job of a position coach is? A position coach. If your linebacker room is the weakest room on your defense, they can't tackle, they can't read, they're not going to the ball. What that word I got to do with Livingston? You see, some of y'all don't listen. I mean, it may be the same folk. You're not listening. The foundation of anything you do is fundamentals. Some y'all can't be knowing football. The foundation of anything, specifically sports, is your fundamentals. Your plays mean nothing if you don't know how to tackle. I've already said that, really. The foundation of your job is your position first. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to do it? Do you know what you're supposed to be doing at all times? Your job in your position ain't worth a crap. I can call the plays all day. If you can't tackle, you can't tackle. And if you can't tackle, one of two things: your training is insufficient, and the person who putting you on the field is insufficient. Because he shouldn't be having a whole linebacker room full of people who can't tackle. And he shouldn't be putting people out there who can't tackle if he got guys to do. That's on him. Then you can say, okay, now we go to scheme. Yeah, so there's some clown stuff now. Why did Livingston? It's a good thing I can't put this stuff on the screen on. I'm just using YouTube today. Stop running quarterbacks with Hillgreen. He did stop running quarterbacks with Hillgreen. What are you talking about? Wait, what are you talking about? Hillgreen single-handedly mobbed the running quarterback at UCF. Why do you think they beat UCF? The running game they had and a big old huge running quarterback that he put in the medical tent. What are you talking about? What running quarterbacks beat them that year? Running quarterbacks didn't beat them that year. Every running period beat them that year because they couldn't tackle. It wasn't the running quarterback that beat them. They shut the running quarterback down at Kansas State that year, and the running back ran all over them because they couldn't tackle. Well, you not comprehending what I said? Or you just want to be silly? Like that running quarterbacks, it wasn't their issue. It was their defense as a whole couldn't tackle. They would get in the backfield and couldn't tackle. You sound dumb. All their losses was running quarterbacks. You ain't watching no games. It was the running backs who beat them in those games. If it was any running going on, it was running backs to beat them. What planet are you on? That was 2 years ago. Running quarterbacks was not beating them last year. Running quarterbacks beat them this year. What are you talking about? Running quarterbacks did not beat them 2 years ago. It was they couldn't stop the run from a standpoint of the running game. Kansas State running back ran all over them. Kansas running back ran all over them. And then when he didn't play in BYU game in the bowl game, the running back ran all over them. And then the fool gonna mention the game that they didn't lose. North Dakota State quarterback ran all of them. First of all, Hill Green didn't even start that game. So how you gonna use that as a reference? Why are you gonna mention Hill Green and then mention the game that he didn't start in? That's when you know you got to end the day with the clowns go. Clowns come out that day, freaks come out at night. Hill Green didn't even start until about the second, third game. He came in about at halftime. And that's your reference. Anywho, and they didn't lose. Good day. Let's pack him up. Pack him up. I'm just Greg. Greg said it. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. You're gonna hear the truth. Good day, good night, good agree. Yeah, we talking about wise people, man. For you all who know, you know. Y'all have a good one. I'll talk to y'all soon.